Hi, this is Fred Wheeler talking to you about how to play Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Today we're going to cover surprise attacks. In this video we're going to cover determining surprise by comparing the monster's stealth check with the passive perception of a player character. Then we're going to determine position, followed by rolling initiative, and taking the first turn as a surprise attack. I'm going to be using information from the player's starter set. That means from the Lost Mines of Phandelver. If you plan to play this adventure, please do not continue watching this video. There are spoilers. The Dungeons & Dragons starter set has a really good example of surprise attacks. The adventure inside, called the Lost Mines of Phandelver, details a dwarf that you are working for named Gundren Rockseeker. You are trying to bring a wagon of provisions to a settlement called Phandelver. You've been travelling on the Tribord Trail for about half a day. As you come around the bend, you spot two dead horses sprawled about 50 feet ahead of you, blocking your path. Each has several black feathered arrows sticking out of it. The woods press close to the trail here, with a steep embankment and dense thickets on either side. Now if the players decide to move up, which they can, in this case the rogue will, they can check the saddlebags. You find that the saddlebags have been looted. Nearby lies an empty leather map case. Now the dungeon master knows at this point that hiding in the thicket are some goblins, and as soon as somebody comes up to check the saddlebags, that they will attack. So at this point, let's see who is surprised. In this case we need to make a stealth check for the goblins. The goblins' stealth score is 6. We're going to add that to a 20-sided dice roll. But in this case, because the goblins were hiding in thickets and they are also not moving around, I'm going to give them advantage on their stealth check. It's 2 dice and take the highest result. In this case they have rolled a 12, which gives them 18. As the dungeon master, you then collect the passive perception scores from your players. You can do this at the beginning of the adventure if you like. So the rogue has 10, fighter has 13, wizard 13, cleric 13. Any of these scores that is higher or equal to the stealth score means that they actually detect the goblins. In this case none of them do, so they all fail. Another fact, the rogue was inspecting the saddlebags when he was attacked. So, in this case, automatic failure occurs. You do not use the passive perception or an active perception check. So you can cross that out completely. Now we will determine who acts first using initiative. The first thing we need to do is roll initiative for the goblins. This is what the dungeon master does. So, goblins have initiative of +2, which is their dexterity modifier. And you roll your d20 or 20-sided dice, which comes to 11, which is going to equal 13. So goblins have an initiative of 13. The rogue has an initiative of 3, or +3. Okay, you get the player that is running the rogue to roll a 20-sided dice, and they get a 1. You add that on and that becomes 4. That is the rogue's initiative. They have 4. And we just work our way through all the different player characters. So right now we now need to put this into order. The highest initiative goes at the top, so the wizard. Followed by the goblins. And then the fighter, next the cleric, and last is the rogue. Once we have determined the initiative order, we move into combat. Top of the order there is the wizard. Unfortunately the goblins had surprise on all of the characters and therefore they get to act first. So they use their short bows and they shoot an arrow at the rogue. In this case that means they have advantage because they are surprising the rogue, and that means they get the highest result on 2 dice, they can add that to their attack modifier, which is 4, that's 23 to hit, and you continue on until you've done that for each goblin, and when you finish shooting, the round finishes and ends for the goblins, and you move on to round 2, and that's how you do a surprise attack. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe and share. Make a comment below, and I'll see you next time. See you later.